Studios. Welcome to Charter School Radio with your host, Coach Dennis Snyder.
Welcome back. And again, it's great to have you with us today. Just a reminder to you, this program is all about educational choice. That's what Charter School Radio is all about, trying to spread the word nationwide, worldwide, because we are on the internet, and we hope that you will spread the word along with us. Just a reminder, when we talk about educational choice, what that means to me, it's the freedom to choose a school that matches your child's needs, not everybody else's. It's a freedom to choose a school that meets your standards, not necessarily the government's, and it's a freedom to choose a school based on its quality, not your address. That's what educational choice is all about. That's what this program's all about, trying to spread the word, give you great guests that talk about what's going on in the education world out there to keep you informed. And we'd appreciate you. If you have any comments or you want to talk to us, you want to give us some feedback, please go to echs.org and you can email me there, or you can go to WS Radio and go to our website and you can contact me there. We'd love to hear from you. Picking up on our theme that we were the first on the kind of the international school idea, we have a lady that's with us now from the globalschoolnet.org. Her name is Dr. Yvonne Marie Andres. She's the president and co-founder of the globalschoolnet.org, and it's really fascinating what she's been able to put together over the course of the. I'll let her talk about how many years, but first of all, welcome to Charter School Radio, Yvonne. It's great to have you with us.
It's great to be here.
So our audience can kind of get a feel of your background and how you got involved. And let's start. You were a classroom teacher in Oceanside to start out with. Why don't you talk a little bit about that and then how you transitioned into the globalschoolnet.org.
That's right. Yes, I was a middle school teacher, and I had a group of very low achieving students, and got my students involved in the writing project at the time. It was a very big effort in San Diego to improve student writing, and discovered that when students would write for an audience of their peers rather than the teacher, they were much more motivated. And it was about the time that email became available. This was in the mid-'80s.
That was the early days of email.
It was before the web, if people can believe there was something before the web, and began connecting with some other teachers around San Diego that believed in the same philosophy of connecting our students with other students and developing different kinds of writing projects to involve the students. It was all done through text, email projects, but we saw enormous growth in the students' communication skills, and began expanding that to other subject areas like science and social studies. And through our effort, eventually connected with about 300 schools around the United States and worldwide. This is again before the web.
Wow.
In 1990.
And you were doing that by email?
Email only, yes.
Email only.
Email only. But it's very interesting, even though the tools have changed, the philosophy hasn't changed very much, and it's all very sound educational principles, having students do original research, cite their resources, share their work with their partner classes, get feedback. So the methodology pretty much has stayed the same, although the tools have changed dramatically since then.
Well, yeah, have they ever? It seems like they're changing daily every time I turn around. But in those early days, what you found out as a student, so by having partnerships with other kids around the country or in their area, it motivated. The whole purpose originally was to motivate those students to take their writing seriously or to improve it and things like that. And what you found out is obviously it made a big difference.
That's right. And we really follow the constructivist learning model, which says that people learn best when they're involved in the construction of their own knowledge, where they create some sort of an artifact or evidence of what they learn. That can be a video, a website, a podcast, an essay, a piece of art, where they share that artifact with an audience of their peers, and they get feedback. So it's the full cycle. So many activities have students creating content. Very few programs actually have them have their content getting critically reviewed, right, and having them look at other projects and critically reviewing those. So
it's an opportunity for them to actually apply the learning they have and then have somebody else take a look at it and give them feedback on it.
That's right.
And in those early days, what age group did you start with?
I started with middle school, so it was
students.
fifth grade through ninth grade, and expanded that. Of course, now we do K-12 and we do teacher university programs.
And the reason I want to ask this question is, how how junior high kids and stuff like that are so worried about what other people think of them. How did they take being criticized or getting feedback from other students? Was that a transition period? Did that take some time training-wise, or do they just, hey, it's another kid, it's another student, so they didn't look at it as being critical?
Well, the hook was that junior high school students are very social. So that is
so that worked out.
That's the magic right there. So the teacher's role is to help set the parameters and put the structure, add the diplomacy, add the etiquette, and so on. So you spend a lot of time teaching students how to communicate in a positive way and share their information, and give their critical reviews in a positive way.
All right, so here you are in Oceanside teaching this grade level. So how did we get into where you're at today? I know there's a few steps in between there, so why don't you take us through that a little bit, how you got to where you are today, and then we can talk in the next section a little bit what you are doing today and how people can contact you and stuff like that. But I'd like to hear the story of how you transitioned from where you were. What was the next step then?
Well, word got out. As I said, we at one point we had 300 schools that were connected around the U.S. and several overseas. And the National Science Foundation heard about our project. And one day, again, just a middle school teacher, I got a phone call, National Science Foundation, we'd like to give you a $2 million grant to create something called, and we didn't have a name then, but eventually.
Joe, write that down.
I'm writing it down right now. $2 million.
$2 million. It eventually, the name we chose was the Global Schoolhouse. It was our vision to create a global schoolhouse where young people could learn with one another and from one another around the world. So that was the basis, and we began building this concept and putting all the pieces in place to create this environment online where kids could learn together.
No, that's fantastic. All right, so there you are. They offer you the $2 million. You're still teaching, I take it. So, all right, so what happened?
So I made a little deal with my school district, and they said, we want to keep this program here. We'll give you a classroom if you keep the program here. The grant paid for my salary, so they were able to hire somebody to take my place, and I began doing professional development with the staff. And we began developing projects, as I said, across the curriculum, so science, social studies, language arts, and so on, and began expanding the network to the point within a very short period of time. I would say within 3 years, we had 90,000 online educators that were interested in content-driven collaboration.
90,000?
90,000.
And this is in 1980?
That was between 1993 and 1996, 97.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyhow, so you got all this network, and you're still working for you're there at the Oceanside School District, still applying this grant that you had.
Well, that was our headquarters, but we were actually working with schools everywhere. All over California, all over the United States, all over the world, right? That was just where our headquarters were. But certainly, if you're doing international collaboration, you need to pull them in from everywhere.
So then you left the district, and then now you're out on your own, and do you have partners, or how does that work? I mean,
we formed a 501c3, so we're a nonprofit education organization. Our funding comes from grants and contract work that we do. We do a lot of contract work with school districts doing professional development. We run a program for the U.S. State Department. It's a scholarship award program. The program is called Doors to Diplomacy, and the State Department wants students to become more aware of international affairs and diplomacy. So the program has students creating educational web projects that teach others about diplomacy and international affairs. State Department puts up the scholarship money. Each student team member gets $2,000, and the school gets $1,000.
Wow.
All right, so you've transitioned into that, and it is still growing, I take it.
I hope so.
That's what your goal is. Now, how many? Obviously, there's a lot of different countries, but do they all have the same technology and able to connect with the students and stuff like that? How's that transition kind of
This is a very new and emerging field, this field of online collaboration. People talk about it, and I don't think they fully understand all the elements that go into a successful online collaboration. So when people think of it, the first thing they think of is pen pals or partner classes. And we actually very much discourage that kind of relationship because generally there's a 50% chance of failure. But if people want to do it, we can give them some tips and techniques that will actually make it work. What we look at is what we call learning circles. So we'll create a learning community around a topic of study. And then we
give us an example of that. Like science, for instance. Or
science. So students could be doing environmental investigations. It could be math, and they're looking at grocery prices around the world. They're doing a shared database analysis where they're entering their figures into a shared spreadsheet like the Google spreadsheets, and then they're doing a comparison. So there's a number of different steps, and what I like to say is this is not something you're doing in addition to what you're doing in a traditional classroom. What you're doing is looking what you are having your students do traditionally and look at what elements can be shared with partner classes that will add value and enhance. So if you go to our website, we have an area called the Projects Registry where it lists 14 different types of collaboration. So it actually gives you what the value and what the reasons are to do these kinds of collaboration. And when you think about it, the world of work, if it's not already, will be in a geographically dispersed environment, and your partners, you'll be team members with people maybe all over the country and certainly all over the world.
And we'll pick up on one